Look, I love Pokemon games, but of them all, I really dislike Sword and Shield. I'm sure you've heard the whole spiel by this point now that the games are 5 years old. God, they're 5 years old already. The lag issues, the connectivity for online play issues, the wild area not being fleshed out, and the map itself feeling so empty despite being large. The story, wait, the game had a story? I could go on about Sword and Shield's flaws, but today I want to talk about the one thing I believe Sword and Shield Generation 8 got right. In fact, I think Sword and Shield did this one thing better than all the other regions. That has to be the character designs and character models. One thing I have to give Pokemon credit for is throughout the generations, their character designs continue to improve. I feel like Sword and Shield is where they absolutely shined with the gym leaders, rivals, and supporting cast that we met. However, please don't confuse this with personality. The character's personality is unfortunately a whole different issue, as I think the game's writing was a bit atrocious, but if we're purely talking about design standpoint, this game has some of my favorites. Let me talk about one of my favorites out of the gate, Marnie. I think personality-wise, she is one of the most bland rivals out there. You could remove her from the game and it would have very little impact because her one connection, that being Team Yell and Piers, has so little impact on the game itself. Sorry, Piers fans. But her design is insanely good. The pink dress combined with the spiky jacket and boots really display a unique combo that's memorable. It's simple yet extremely effective, and I can only imagine how amazing of a character and rival Marnie would have been if she was given proper care in story writing and a position in the actual story itself. Another big favorite of mine is Nessa. When I first saw her design in the trailers, I was blown away. Her hair splitting like a fish fin near the bottom along with the dark blue and light colors. Not to mention her hairpins are bright orange, which reminds me of the life buoys you would see at sea. Plus orange is a great contrast to blue. Though this wasn't part of the game, her special animated episode is what really sealed the deal for me, making Nessa probably my favorite character from Generation 8. On a quick side note, that animation series really showed us what they wanted to do for Galar. I do believe they wanted to make this game world as bright and big as that little series, but unfortunately in the actual games itself, it just doesn't match up. While those might be my favorites, there's a ton of characters in the game that became major fan favorites. Piers, Kabu, Leon, Raihan, and Bee, just to name a few. Though I do have to mention the elephant in the room with Shieldbert and Swordward. What the hell were they thinking? This is just plain lazy. These guys were supposed to be old royalty too. I can't even tell if these designs were meant to be a funny gag or not. I just wish these two got an appropriate amount of time spent on their designs because their attitude being snotty and whatnot was really interesting. I just could not care about them because of how ridiculous penis hair especially looked. Even so, the other aspect I want to touch upon is just how well the character models are done. Now, the Pokemon models are a different story that has been talked about to death by other creators. The character models, on the other hand, are polished nicely, and when you defeat them in battle, all the characters have unique animations to express their emotions. This helps them feel more alive than opposed to just smacking them around for a badge and moving on to the next gym. This alone gave them a nice needed flair, but once again, I'm back to the point of wishing they had a little more storytelling to them. The only gym leader I really remember something about is Opal, because she played a small part with Bede in the story. Even then, we only saw her appear to take him under her wing, and the rest happened off screen. As I'm writing the script, I'm realizing even when I'm trying to praise Sword and Shield, I can't help my issues with the game bubbling to the surface. I'm really trying not to get too salty here. Back in 2021, Pokemon released Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, which were the original Diamond and Pearl remakes. I refuse to call them remakes and instead go with remasters due to how little new content is there, but I digress. The one main concern I remember seeing at the time was people didn't want the Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum remakes to be like Sword and Shield. This in itself is a very broad statement because once we got the trailer for BDSP, many were disappointed with the art style that they went with. I have to admit that my heart also dropped when I saw the reveal too. After time has passed, I think what most were saying is that they didn't want BDSP to turn out like Sword and Shield in terms of the world. They didn't want the lag, empty towns, too much hand-holding, etc. But the character models were one of the few things Sword and Shield got right. And so, to go back to scaled-down chibi models when we have the software to handle proportionally correct human-sized characters is just so weird. Especially because in BDSP, the characters do have those models in the battle screens. But the moment you're in the overworld, you become a squishy little guy. We can say that we don't like the game, but be able to discern a few qualities that we do like. For me, Sword and Shield excelled at one thing. Well, technically two. That is the character designs and the models for those human characters. I just wish the rest of the game was polished to give a well-rounded experience, but instead we got time-stopping ladders and spinning-in-place dogs. At the end of the day, Pokemon Sword and Shield is still a Pokemon game, and because of that, I still enjoyed my time playing it. I spent numerous hours after beating the game to get a shiny Wooloo because it's Wooloo. Okay, scratch my previous statement. Sword and Shield did 4 things right. They gave us good character designs, models, Wooloo, and Snom. Those guys are so cute. See, even I, who really dislike Sword and Shield out of the Pokemon franchise, can still find joy in it. Oh, and if you like Sword and Shield as a game, that's okay too. I think the insane amount of hate the game got during its release and the couple years after was a bit ridiculous. We can criticize a game without needing to insult each other or beat each other down over it. I want to know who your favorite Sword and Shield character is in the comments. And if you want me to do an in-depth view of all of the Sword and Shield characters and what I think excelled for each of their designs, let me know that as well, because I would be happy to do it. Whatever it is, I want to know, and I hope to see you again.